Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-embarking on an exciting journey into the heart of the Great White North to explore the state of Canadian wildlife in 2025. Canada is home to some of the most iconic and breathtaking animals on the planet. From the mighty polar bear to the elusive lynx. But what does the future hold for them? Let's dive in and find out what's happening in the wild world of Canada right now. First up, let's talk about the big guys, the bears. Canada is home to three species: polar bears, grizzly bears, and the ever-common black bear. For polar bears, the situation remains a critical topic of conversation. As Arctic sea ice continues to change, their hunting grounds are shrinking. In 2025, we're seeing conservation efforts ramped up like never before. Scientists are using cutting-edge satellite technology to track their movements and health, providing vital data to protect their populations. It's a race against time, but there's a lot of hope fueled by international cooperation and local community involvement, especially from indigenous groups who have lived alongside these animals for centuries. Moving south, let's look at the grizzly bear. Once pushed to the brink, grizzly populations in certain areas, particularly in Alberta and British Columbia, have been showing signs of a slow but steady comeback. This is largely thanks to habitat protection and human-bear conflict mitigation programs. In 2025, wildlife managers are focusing on creating and maintaining wildlife corridors. Think of these as superhighways for animals, allowing them to move safely between different protected areas. This genetic exchange is crucial for the long-term health of the grizzly population. It's a fantastic example of how we can learn to coexist with these magnificent predators. And what about the black bear? They are the most widespread of the three and are incredibly adaptable. You can find them from the forests of Newfoundland to the mountains of BC. In 2025, the biggest challenge for black bears is still their interaction with humans, especially in expanding suburbs and recreational areas. However, biologists in 2025 are closely monitoring the impact of ticks, which are thriving in warmer winters. These tiny pests can seriously weaken a moose, so research into controlling their spread is a top priority. Elk, or wapiti, are another success story. Reintroduction programs over the past few decades have been incredibly successful. And in 2025, we're seeing healthy, growing herds in places like Ontario and the prairie provinces where they had once vanished. It's truly inspiring to see these majestic animals reclaiming their ancestral lands. The story for caribou, however, is much more complex. Woodland caribou, in particular, are facing significant threats from habitat fragmentation due to industrial activity. They are incredibly sensitive to disturbance. In 2025, a major push is underway to protect vast, unbroken tracts of old-growth boreal forest, which is their primary habitat. It's a challenging balancing act between economic interests and conservation, but many are realizing that protecting caribou means protecting the health of the entire boreal ecosystem, which benefits us all. Let's shift our gaze to the water. Canada's oceans, rivers, and lakes are teeming with life. Let's start with the giants of the sea, whales. The waters off both the Atlantic and Pacific coasts are critical habitats for species like the humpback, orca, and the endangered North Atlantic right whale. For humpbacks, the news is largely positive. Their numbers have rebounded beautifully since the end of commercial whaling. Whale-watching tours are now a key part of coastal economies, fostering a love and appreciation for these gentle giants. For orcas, or killer whales, the picture is mixed. The transient or Big's killer whales, which prey on marine mammals, are thriving. Their population is growing. However, the southern resident killer whales off the coast of British Columbia are still in a precarious position. Their diet consists almost exclusively of Chinook salmon, and salmon stocks have been declining. In 2025, massive efforts are focused on salmon habitat restoration, from removing old dams to replanting streamside vegetation. The fate of these culturally significant orcas is directly tied to the health of our rivers. And then there's the North Atlantic right whale, one of the most endangered large whales on Earth. With only a few hundred individuals left, every single whale counts. The biggest threats they face are ship strikes and entanglement in fishing gear. In 2025, the Canadian government, along with the fishing and shipping industries, has implemented dynamic speed restrictions and temporary fishing zone closures in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. New technologies like ropeless fishing gear are also being tested and deployed. It's an all-hands-on-deck situation, and the level of innovation and collaboration is truly remarkable. Let's not forget the national animal, the beaver. These industrious engineers are doing great. In fact, their population is so healthy that they're being recognized as key allies in conservation. Beaver dams create wetlands that support a huge diversity of life, from dragonflies to ducks to moose. They also help filter water and mitigate the effects of drought. In 2025, we're even seeing beaver relocation programs, where beavers are moved to areas that need ecosystem restoration. Who knew these buck-toothed builders were such environmental heroes? Moving on to some of the more elusive creatures. The Canada lynx, with its tufted ears and huge snowshoe-like paws, is perfectly adapted to the boreal forest. Its population is closely tied to the 10-year cycle of its primary prey, the snowshoe hare. Right now, in 2025, hare populations in many areas are on the upswing, which means lynx numbers are also climbing. The biggest long-term concern for lynx is maintaining the vast connected forests they need to roam and hunt. And what about our feathered friends? Canada is a birdwatcher's paradise, with billions of birds migrating to and through the country each year. But many species, especially aerial insectivores like swallows and swifts, and grassland birds like the bobolink, have seen steep declines. The reasons are complex, involving habitat loss and changes in insect populations. In 2025, conservation is taking a continent-wide approach. Programs are in place to work with farmers to create bird-friendly haying schedules and protect grassland patches. For swallows, citizen science projects are tracking nesting sites and success rates, providing crucial data that helps us understand and address their decline. One of the most exciting developments in 2025 is the growing role of Indigenous-led conservation. First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities are establishing Indigenous, Protected, and Conserved Areas, or IPCAs. These initiatives combine traditional ecological knowledge with Western science to manage lands and waters in a holistic way. They protect biodiversity while also strengthening cultural connections to the land. This is a powerful and essential movement that is reshaping the future of conservation in Canada. Recognizing that the original stewards of this land have invaluable knowledge to share. Finally, we can't talk about wildlife in 2025 without mentioning citizen science. It's bigger than ever. Everyday people are contributing massive amounts of data through apps and websites like iNaturalist and eBird. Whether you're re-snapping a photo of a strange bug in your backyard or logging the birds you see on your morning walk, you're helping scientists monitor the health of animal populations across the country. It's an incredibly empowering way for everyone to get involved and make a real difference. So, what's the big picture for Canadian wildlife in 2025? It's a story of challenges, but also a story of incredible resilience, innovation, and hope. From the high Arctic to the southern prairies, people are working tirelessly to understand and protect the amazing animals that call this country home. We're seeing a shift towards coexistence, a greater appreciation for interconnected ecosystems, and a powerful movement towards Indigenous-led stewardship. The future is not yet written, but the efforts being made today give us every reason to be optimistic about the wild heart of Canada.